Hey everybody, Qroo here. Welcome to the channel. If you've been studying Spanish for any length of time, chances are high that you are familiar with the Spanish verb esperar, to hope or to wait for. Super useful verb. In today's video, I'm going to focus on some of the nuances when you're using that verb, specifically the difference between esperar algo, esperar a algo, esperar por algo. When it comes to Spanish, a preposition can make a big difference and it can actually change the meaning of the verb in some circumstances. This is one of those circumstances. Take a look at these. Espero que vayas a la tienda. Espero a que vayas a la tienda. Very similar, right? The only difference is that we have the preposition a in the second one after the word espero. Otherwise, they're identical, but they don't mean the same thing. The first one means, I hope you go to the store, and the second one means, I wait for you to go to the store, or I'm waiting for you to go to the store. See, that preposition a changed the meaning of the sentences. That's why it's important. So here are the constructions I want you to focus on today. You're going to put them on your Spanish word list or pop them in your Spanish toolbox or however you do your study, all right? We have esperar que plus subjunctive, to hope that something occurs. Our next one is esperar a que plus subjunctive, to wait for something to occur. If you're already familiar with the verb esperar, chances are you've already been using it in that first way to make sentences like this. Espero que te vaya bien. I hope it goes well for you, whatever it is. Espero que tengas un buen día. I hope you have a good day. Now, you'll see I'm using the subjunctive in both of those. In the first one, vaya comes from the verb ir, right? And it's in the subjunctive mood. In the second one, we have tengas, which comes from the verb tener, to have, and it's in the subjunctive mood. That's our formula, right? Now let's move on to our second construction, esperar a que plus subjunctive, to wait for something to occur. Here's some examples. I'm going to wait for it to stop raining. Voy a esperar a que termine de llover. That's another useful phrase for your word list if you don't already know it. Terminar de plus infinitive is to stop doing something. An alternative to that uses the verb dejar. You could have dejar de plus infinitive. Here's another example. It's important to wait until the bread is completely baked before removing it from the oven. Es importante esperar a que el pan esté completamente horneado antes de sacarlo del horno. You see, it's esté and not está because it's in the subjunctive, right? That's our construction. We have esperar a que plus subjunctive. And when I say plus subjunctive, I mean that the next conjugated verb after que has to be in the subjunctive. For you folks who like to tell people what to do, this one's really useful with the imperative or the command form. Wait for the traffic light to turn green. Espera que el semáforo se ponga en verde. Wait for the song to finish. Espera que termine la canción. Not that I have to keep pointing it out, but I will. Ponga and termine are both in the subjunctive. So now you see what kind of difference a preposition can make in there. Our constructions for our word list are esperar que plus subjunctive, to hope that something occurs, and esperar a que plus subjunctive, to wait for something to occur. Now, I could end this lesson right here because that was already super useful, right? But then some of you might get confused by sentences like these. Espero un milagro. I'm waiting for a miracle. Vamos a esperar una respuesta. We're going to wait for an answer. So sometimes esperar by itself can mean to wait for, and sometimes it's better to say esperar a. What's the difference here? Well, you may have already noticed it. In these examples, we're waiting for nouns, not verbs. We're not waiting for something to occur. We're waiting for something or someone. That's the difference. So here's the other construction you should add right after the other ones on your word list. Esperar plus noun means to wait for something or someone. At some point, you're likely to come across the construction esperar por, meaning to wait for something. That's where that por came from. For example, you may see espera por mi señal, wait for my signal, instead of espera mi señal. According to the experts in Spanish, and well, I'm not one of them, the construction esperar por is a result of English influence on Spanish. That's why some folks have added the por. And it's actually frowned upon by the Royal Spanish Academy. You've heard me talk about them. La Real Academia Española, which is considered the leading authority in what is correct Spanish. They're made up of delegates from every Spanish-speaking country, and they're not all just scholars. They may come from different walks of life. And supposedly they all get together and say, that's good and that's not good. So with this, they said, not so good. Well, that's it for the video. If you learned something from it or enjoyed it, and I'm guessing since you're still watching at this point, maybe one or both those things occurred, just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, hasta luego.